Hello, and welcome to Toya and Stitches. I'm Toya. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make the Hellshire Sunset Shawl. It's a beginner-friendly triangle shawl that's worked from the center outwards, and it's made up of double crochet and chain stitches. So if you can do those, you're good to go, super easy. And to make the shawl, you're going to need about 715 yards of fingering weight yarn. I used this one in particular. It's called Hawthorne from WeCrochet. And it is 80% Superwash Fine Highland Wool and 20% Polyamide. In each hank, which is 100 grams, you get 357 yards. So if you're using this particular one, you're going to need 2 hanks of this one, or just 715 yards of your preferred fingering weight yarn. You'll also need a 4.5 millimeter hook. That's what I used, but you can use whichever hook necessary to achieve the gauge. I'll leave the gauge information in the description. You'll need scissors and a tapestry needle. I'll leave all of this in the description, including the colors. This color is called Burlingame, and the picture you saw at the intro, that color is called Happy Valley. But again, all of this will be in the description. So go ahead, grab your supplies, and let's get started. To start, we're first going to make a magic circle. If you already know how to make one, go ahead and make it how you're comfortable. If not, this is the way I start my magic circle. So I start by taking the tail end of my yarn and draping it over my fingers and just holding the tail with my thumb. Then I wrap the working end around my index finger and then coming under my ring finger here, coming over and across to make an X in the back here, like so. And then I flip my hand around and then just hold the yarn with my little finger. I grab my hook and insert my hook under that first strand of yarn. I grab the second one, pull it forward, and then I twist my hook up to make a loop like that. And then I hold on to that loop and then I grab that same strand of yarn on the other side like that. And then I pull it through the loop that I just made. Sometimes a little finicky. Oh, got it. All right, so you pull it through that loop, and that right there counts as a chain. So that's like a chain 1, and then that holds the ring in place. I'll do that one more time. So have the yarn draped over my fingers, hold the tail with my thumb, bring the working end over my index finger, across the top of my fingers, under my ring finger, making an X in the back here, and then I flip my hand over and I hold it right there. Take my hook, insert under the first strand, hook the second strand, pull it forward, and then I twist my hook to make a loop, hold on to that loop, grab that same yarn, that same strand of yarn, and just slowly pull it through the loop to chain 1 and secure the ring. Then I take my fingers out, pull the tail out, and then we can start. So now I already have 1 chain in my ring. I'm gonna chain 3 more. So 1, 2, 3. So now here I have a chain 4. And this chain 4 counts as a double crochet and a chain 1. So now we're going to start working into our ring. Now I'm going to work 2 double crochets. So here is 1 double crochet, 2 double crochets. And now I am going to chain 2, 1, 2. And now I'm going to work 2 more double crochets. 1, 2, and then I'm going to chain 1 and work 1 more double crochet. Then I'm going to pull on the tail to tighten up my ring. So now for my row 1, I have worked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 double crochets, and I have a chain space here, a chain 2 space in the center, and then a chain 1 over here. All right, now so we're going to move on to row 2. So for row 2, we're just going to turn our work and we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to work a double crochet into that first chain 1 space here. So we're going to yarn over and work a double crochet in that chain 1 space. And now we're going to work a double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches right here. So we'll go 1, 2, and then now into this chain 2 space, we're going to work 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets. So we'll do that. So we'll go into the chain 2 space and work 2 double crochets, 1, 2. Now we'll chain 2, 1, 2, and work 2 more double crochets into that same space. Work a double crochet in the next 2 double crochet stitches. So that's 1, 2, and now we will into this chain 1 space here from the row before. We're going to work a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. So we'll yarn over into that chain 1 space, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. And that is the end of row 2. And now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, because we count our chain 3 as a double crochet, and we have our beginning chain 1 space, our center chain 2 space, and our ending chain 1 space. So now from this point on, every row is going to increase by 6. So now we'll move on to row 3. We're going to turn our work and we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and work a double crochet into the chain 1 space. Now we're going to double crochet in each stitch to the center chain 2 space. And into our center chain 2 space, we're going to work 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets. So we yarn over into our chain 2 space, 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets. And then now we'll go down the other side, working a double crochet in each stitch to the chain 1 space. And now into the chain 1 space, we're going to work a double crochet and a chain 1 and then another double crochet. So into that space, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. And that's the end of row 3. So now right here, what you're going to do is you're going to repeat row 3 4 more times until you get to row 7. So go ahead and repeat row 3 4 more times, and I'll meet you back at the end of row 7. I have finished my row 7, and now it's time for us to move on to row 8, which is our first eyelet row. So what we're going to do for our row 8, we're going to start like normal. So we're going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to work a double crochet into the chain 1 space, and we're going to work a double crochet in the next stitch. All right, and then now we're going to chain 1, skip the next stitch, and double crochet in the following stitch. And we're going to do that again, chain 1, skip the next stitch, double crochet in the following stitch. And you're going to keep doing that, chaining 1, skipping 1 stitch, and placing a double crochet in the following stitch until you get to the last stitch before the chain 2 space. So keep working until you get to the last stitch before the chain 2 space. All right, so now I have 1 stitch left before the chain 2 space. I'm going to work a double crochet in this stitch, And then into my chain 2 space, I'm going to work 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets. And just like we did on this side, where before our chain 2 space, we have 2 double crochet stitches. Now after our chain 2 space, we're going to work 2 double crochet stitches. So we're going to work a double crochet in the next 2 stitches. So that's 1, 2, and then now from this point on, we're going to chain 1, skip the next stitch, double crochet in the following stitch. And we're going to continue doing that until we get to the last stitch before the chain 1 space. So now I worked my last stitch into the stitch just before the chain 1 space, and now into the chain 1 space, I'm going to work a double crochet, chain 1, and another double crochet. All right, and that's the end of row 8. So then now we're going to move on to row 9, which is working another row of just double crochets, but we're going to be working into the double crochet stitches and into the chain 1 spaces. So we're going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to turn, we're going to work a double crochet into the chain 1 space. And now we're going to work a double crochet in each stitch and chain space to the center chain 2 space. So we're going to be working into the tops of double crochet stitches. And then we're going to work a double crochet into the chain space. So double crochet in the top of double crochet stitches, and then double crochet into the chain space, all the way to your center chain 2 space. And now into the center chain 2 space, we're going to work into it like we normally do, where we work 2 double crochet stitches, chain 2, and 2 double crochet stitches. And now we're going to work down the other side like we did on the first side, double crocheting in the tops of double crochet stitches and then also into the chain spaces. And now at the end here, where we get back to our chain 1 space, we're going to work into our chain 1 space like we normally do, where we work a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. So we finished row 9, and now from rows 10 to 15, you're going to repeat what you did for row 3. So you're going to start each row by chaining 4 and working a double crochet into the chain space, working a double crochet in each stitch to the center chain 2 space, and then when you get to the center chain 2 space, you're going to work 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets, then come back down the other side working a double crochet in each stitch till you get to the chain 1 space, and then into the chain 1 space you're going to work a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. So just go ahead and repeat that from rows 10 to 15, and then I'll meet you back at the end of row 15. I have now completed my row 15, so now we're going to move on to row 16, and row 16 is another eyelet row, so we're going to repeat what we did on row 8 for row 16. So we're going to start like we do at all of our rows. We're going to start by chaining 4, and then we're going to double crochet into the chain space, and we're going to work a double crochet in the next stitch. And now we're going to start our eyelets. So we're going to chain 1, skip the first stitch, and double crochet in the following stitch. And we're going to do that again, chain 1, skip 1 stitch, double crochet in the following stitch. And we're going to repeat that until we get to the last stitch before the chain 2 space. So continue working your eyelets until you get to the last stitch before the chain 2 space. All right, so now I'm at the last stitch before my chain 2 space. So I'm going to work a double crochet in this stitch here. And then into our chain space, we're going to work 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets, And now we're going to work a double crochet in the next 2 stitches. And now we're going to start our eyelets down this side. So now we're going to chain 1, skip the next stitch, double crochet in the following stitch. And again, chain 1, skip the next stitch, double crochet in the following stitch. And you're going to repeat that until you get to the last stitch before your chain 1 space. All right, so now I'm going to work a double crochet in this stitch here. And now I'm going to do a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet into that chain 1 space. All right, and that's the end of row 16, and now we're going to move on to row 17. And for row 17, we're going to repeat what we did for row 9, where we just worked double crochets into each stitch and chain space all the way to our chain 2 space, where we do our center, where we work 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets, and then we just work double crochets down the other side. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to start by chaining 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Double crochet into your beginning chain 1 space, double crochet in the next stitch, and the next stitch, and now into the chain space, double crochet in the next stitch, double crochet in the chain space, and you're going to do that all the way to your center chain 2 space. I'm now at my center chain 2 space, where I'm going to work my 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets, and now I'm going to work down the other side, where I just double crochet in the top of each stitch and double crochet into the chain spaces. I'm at the end of my row, so I'm going to work a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet into my chain space, and that's going to be the end of my row 17. And now for the next 4 rows, you're going to work 4 solid rows of double crochet. So just like we did for row 10, you're going to start by chaining 4, working a double crochet into the chain space, double crochet stitches all the way to your center chain 2 space, 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets into your center chain 2 space, and then you're going to come back down working double crochet stitches to your final chain 1 space, where you're going to work a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. So for your rows 18 to 21, you're just going to be working solid double crochets. So you go ahead and do that, and I'll meet you back at the end of row 21. All right, so I finished my row 21. So now it's time for me to move on to row 22. And for row 22, we're going to repeat what we did for row 16, which is an eyelet row. So like we do with every row, we start with a chain 4 and then work a double crochet into our first chain space. And then we work a double crochet in the next stitch. And then you start working your eyelets by chaining 1, skipping 1 stitch, and working a double crochet in the next stitch. And you're going to continue working like we did, as I said, for row 16. You're going to work your eyelets up until you get to the last stitch before your chain 2 space, work a double crochet in that stitch, and then work your center like we normally do with 2 double crochet stitches, chain 2, 2 double crochet stitches, then working 2 stitches, working a double crochet in the 2 stitches after your chain 2 space, then continuing your eyelets down the side of your row, and then working your final into your final chain space, where you work 1 double crochet, chain 1, 1 double crochet. So we'll do that. So I finished my row 22, and now you're going to work 4 solid rows of double crochets. So your next row will be a row of double crochet where you're working into the tops of stitches and into the chain spaces, and then the 3 following rows will just be 3 solid rows of double crochet stitches. So when you finish, you should have a total of 26 rows. So now you go ahead and work your next 4 rows of just double crochet stitches, and then come back and then I'll walk you through the next sequence of rows. Okay, so I finished my row 26, and now we're going to move into row 27, which is also an eyelet row, but this eyelet row is just slightly different than the ones we've worked before, and that difference only shows up right when you get to your corner. So we're going to start off like normal, where we chain 4 and we work into our first chain space, and we work a double crochet in the next stitch, and then we start our eyelets by chaining 1, skipping 1 stitch, and working a double crochet in the following stitch. So you're going to work your eyelets like you normally would in the previous eyelet rows, and then just meet me when you have 2 stitches left before your center chain space, and we'll work those 2 stitches and then into our center and then down the other side. So just work your eyelets till you get to the last 2 stitches before your center, and then I'll meet you there. So here I am, I have 2 stitches left before I get to my center chain 2 space. So what I'm gonna do right here is I'm gonna continue with working on eyelets. So I'm gonna chain 1, skip 1 stitch, and then work a double crochet in that final stitch before the chain 2 space. And then I'm gonna work into my center like normal, where to do 2 double crochets, chain 2, and work another 2 double crochets, and now to start going down the other side, we're going to work a double crochet in that first stitch there, and now we're going to chain 1, skip 1 stitch, and work a double crochet in the following stitch. And now this is only slightly different from what we did in the previous eyelet rows. The only difference is that in the previous eyelet rows, we would have 2 double crochet stitches before our center, and then for this one there's only 1 double crochet stitch before you get into your center. So just be mindful of that, because then if you come out of your center and work 2 double crochet stitches, it's going to throw off the eyelets as you go down and then all the following rows. So just be very mindful when you're coming into your centers, just to focus on how many stitches you work before you get into your center, just to make sure that you follow it up on the following side, just to ensure everything balances out nicely. So go ahead and finish working your eyelets down this side, and I'll meet you at the end of our row 27. So I've finished my row 27. So what you're going to do now is you're going to work 2 rows of double crochet. So your next row, row 28, you're going to work double crochet stitches into the tops of stitches and into the chain spaces, just like you did before, and then work another row of double crochet. So you'll work 2 rows of double crochet. So go ahead, do that, and then come back and I'll tell you how many times you'll have to repeat that sequence before we move on to our next sequence of rows. So go ahead and work 2 rows of double crochets and come back, and I'll tell you how to move on from there. All right, I have now finished my 2 rows of double crochet, so now I'm up to row 29. So from this point on, you're going to repeat this sequence here. So working an eyelet row and 2 rows of double crochet, you're going to repeat that sequence 3 more times, which will take you up to row 38. So now, as I said, what you're going to do from this point on is repeat this 3-row sequence 3 more times. Just being mindful of how you're working your center to make sure everything balances out nicely. So continue to do that. Work this 3-row sequence, a row of eyelets, 2 rows of double crochet 3 more times, and then I'll meet you at the end of row 38. Okay, so I've finished my repeats. So now I'm up to row 38. And the next sequence is going to be 1 to 1. So it's going to be 1 row of eyelets and then 1 row of double crochets. So I'm going to work that up real quick so you can get a visual of what it looks like. And then I'll let you know how many times to repeat that to finish off your shawl. Okay, so I've worked those 2 rows for you. And this is what you'll do from row 39 through to 50. So this row here is row 39, which is a row of eyelets, and then this one is row 40, which is just double crochets. So you're going to continue doing that until you get to 50. So continue repeating an eyelet row, a double crochet row, an eyelet row, a double crochet row, until you get to row 50, which is a total from row 38 to 50. It's a total of 12 rows. So these 2 rows worked repeated 6 times will get you up to row 50. So just do that, and then I'll meet you back at the end. All right, so I'm all done. I'm up to row 50. So this is what your final set of rows are going to look like. So once you get up to row 50, you are all done. All you have to do now is weave in your ends, do some blocking if that's your thing. If not, don't worry about it. It's a shawl. It'll be fine. So I hope you liked this tutorial. If you did, please like this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching. And until next time, take care and bye for now.